Rob, it's the day after the night before. We're basking in the afterglow of a very successful event that you seeded and then orienteered, the Mudgee Wine with Food Challenge. What is the concept about?
Well, Beck, it's about the companionship of Mudgee's wine, this is regional wine, with food cooked by Mudgee chefs and cooks, and wherever possible showcasing Mudgee food in a format, either a restaurant format, in other words, we go through a normal menu, canapé, entree, main, dessert and cheese. In each of those categories we select wines from the Mudgee region that we believe match those foods, and then we put it to a panel to actually make the decision as to which is the wine that on that night, on that occasion, matches that food better than the others. As I put out the tenders, if you like, for the competition, I discovered that there was more interest than even I thought was possible. And we ended up getting 220 wines in the competition. There was clearly a need for some kind of an elimination or filtering so that at the end of the day, to produce the final challenge dinner, we were left with a manageable number of wines. And it was good fun. We had 5 panels of local winemakers, foodies, lifestyle people, just consumers, sitting down in the winery, tasting the food that we eventually had in the final challenge with the wines, all 220 of them, and we finalized the night by adding just 2 wines in each category to go forward to the final. Almost equally importantly, we actually engage the other 90 people that aren't on the panel. And so we have the professional panel, if you like, the panel of specialists giving their view on a match, and the same food and the same wine is enjoyed, experienced by everybody at that, and by show of hands, whether they agree to the panel. But at least what it does is it means that everybody can make a decision on wine and food. You don't have to be a vigneron, you don't have to be a lifestyle specialist, you don't have to be a foodie. You've got to vote too. And it's extraordinary last night how similar the outcomes were. And I think that surprised a few people as well. And where there were differences, both sides could articulate the difference. And there's something about food is so easy to talk about. And wine is really so easy to talk about, unless you get into too technical a level. And that was the beauty. Stay light. Don't go into the technical side. People became more conversant. In the evening, to begin with, a little bit stilted, the conversation, people a little bit nervous, not sure how much they could say and what they should say. By the end of the evening, people were just tasting something and saying exactly what came into their senses. And that is what I'm trying to achieve. That kind of total freedom, wherever you are, whoever you are, it's your palate. Somebody else's wine, but it's your palate, somebody else's food, and so you have the judgment. And feel that you can do it in front of anybody. That was fun. In the canapé section, was actually, one of them was won by a soft red, but it was up against a sparkling white, a still white, a sweet white, and a dry red. So, depending upon the winemaker, their sense of what they thought went with that dish. And that would hopefully encourage the winemaker to have cooked that dish. And so all of a sudden you've got winemakers actually looking at food as being a really good point of reference to aim their wines at. And that is what I want to see grow. I just sense that sometimes wines are made in isolation of food. Maybe food is a context that winemakers should look at a little bit more, without making too much of a missionary zeal out of it. That's one of the things that I want.
The Mudgee Wine with Food Challenge, where is it to go next on its journey?
The Sydney International Competition goes 90% of the way there, and it's of course massive and beautifully done and presented. Ours is hopefully going to be a little bit more of a rustic affair, with a little bit more informality and, a little bit more casual. Not that I've been to it, but I don't have any pretensions of this being international and, global. It's just, if it loses its regionality, it'll be a shame, I think.
What I think's interesting about this event, I attend a lot of wine events, but it's very rare to see this format where you're judging wine with food quite consciously. And I think that's really, the wine show system is a sort of an odd system because it doesn't deliver the wines that the consumers really want. It delivers wines that are technically right by someone's criteria. So I think this is an important sort of a development. I think this event will, based on the enthusiasm tonight, will go on, and I'd certainly like to see it. And Rob was talking about the fact that we'll now invite another neighbouring region in to compete with us, so we get a chance to sort of look outside our own region as well. So I think it's a very positive thing, and I hope to see it do well into the future.
I think more and more, as people understand more about wine, they realise that there's more connections you can make, there's more things you can see, there's different aspects. I've been making wine for nearly 50 years now, and I'm still seeing new things, I'm learning new things, and every year it's a whole new experience. You never stop learning about wine, you never stop appreciating the variations, the changes, and the connections with wine. And wine and food, obviously it's a natural.
My final thought is that I think growing up in Sydney, that you hear about the Hunter Valley, you hear about Barossa Valley. I was pretty ignorant that this area was such a vast winemaking district, and I think a very impressive winemaking district. And I think my final thought really is that this region, it's just not that far away.
So you want it, you got it, this life is what you make it, so you want it, you got it, this life is what you make it, no time to wait, so you want it, you got it.